Om Ajnanatamidandhasya Gyananjana-salakaya Chakkhurunmilitanjena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadameham Dadati Sopadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavansa Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagara Raghunathani Tam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahana Lalita Sri Visakhani Tansa He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastude Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrisabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripi Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Te Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pasyatya Desatarini. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So yesterday we concluded the 14th chapter, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. So one who has transcended the three modes by performing which kind of bhakti? Unalloyed bhakti, avyavichari. Bhakti, avyavichari. So what he reaches the Supreme Lord Purushottama. The next topic is Puruṣottamayoga, 15th chapter. If you see how this section began with Arjuna's three set of questions. Yeah, Kshetra, Kshetragya. What was the second set? Ganesh Prabhu, what was the second set of question?
Prabhuji, Prakriti and Purusham.
No, second set is not Prakriti and Purusham. First set is Prakriti. Prakriti Purusham Cheva. But what I mean, next set was Jnanam and Geyam. And Kshetra and Kshetragya. So Krishna answered in the reverse order. Krishna did not answer about Prakriti and Purusha. So we discussed about Prakriti in the 14th chapter, how the three modes, the material nature, how it is working through the agents of these three modes. So that is Prakriti. And now Krishna will explain about Purushaha, Puruṣottamayoga, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada in the last sentence of the 14th chapter in the purport says that by following such a process, one becomes completely detached from all material activities. And thus, one who can thus situate himself in the Brahma Jyoti or the different varieties of the Brahman conception is equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in quality. So who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? How one can be same in quality? So all this details, Arjuna, this chapter does not begin with Arjuna's question. So actually it is continuation. It is continuation to what Krishna is speaking. Based on Arjuna's question. You remember? Arjuna inquired three questions in verse number 21, I think. Yeah, in verse number 21. So Krishna is continuing to speak. And this chapter talks about how to become detached disentangled from this world. Okay, as we will move, it will become clearer. So I'll first show some commentaries, some slides, so that you have some basic understanding. What is the connection between 14th and 15th chapter? Bhagavad Gītā, that's why is a progression. ऐसा नहीं हम कहीं से कुछ भी उठा के शुरू कर जाए, ऐसा नहीं. बहुत मुश्किल है समझ पाना कि क्या बोला जा रहा है, क्यों बोला जा रहा है और किस लिए बता रहे हैं भगवान. So this chapter is in continuation to what Arjuna had inquired in the last chapter. Any question from anyone from the last chapter? किसी का कोई प्रश्न या डाउट है तो पूछिए. पूरा 14वां अध्याय पढ़ लिया. सब गुणातीत हो गए, तीनों गुणों से ऊपर उठ गए. कोई समस्या ही नहीं है जीवन की. एसोसिएशन. हाँ जी बोलिए.
प्रभु जी बेसिक क्वेश्चन है जो आपने बताया ना कि 3 मोड्स ऑफ मटेरियल नेचर. हरे कृष्णा.
हाँ बोलिए. सुन.
प्रकृति जो है वो मटेरियल नेचर जो है वो 3 मोड्स ऑफ मटेरियल नेचर के से काम करती है, हम पर कंट्रोल करती है. तो प्रभु जी बेसिक क्वेश्चन ये है कि मटेरियल नेचर है उसका कोई फॉर्म होता है? हरे कृष्णा.
मटेरियल नेचर का फॉर्म है ना. हम देखते हैं इसमें इतनी वैरायटी है, इतनी वेराइएटेडनेस है. दो फॉर्म बताए. एक तो जब वो अनमैनिफेस्ट होती है तो उसको क्या बोलते हैं, उसका कौन सा फॉर्म होता है?
इंफीरियर फॉर्म.
नहीं, जब वो अनमैनिफेस्ट होती है. ध्यान से सुनिए, मनीष प्रभु बताएंगे. मनीष प्रभु, when the material nature is not manifest, so what is the form?
It is called as Pradhan.
Yes. It remains unmanifest, and where it is there within Mahavishnu. It is there. And when Mahavishnu glances, when that glance falls upon Pradhan, it becomes active. And what is it called? Who will speak? Pranav? What is it called? I explained it at great length. Many times I have explained. Because Kunal is asking, so we are again discussing. It is called Mahatat. So, but how does it matter to you? By knowing what is the form, will you get free from this form, material form?
No, Prabhuji.
So what is most important to know?
Devotional service, Prabhuji.
How to be free from the influence of the 3 modes. So what kind of devotional service? Not Guna Bhuta. What we are doing, we are performing devotional service within the influence of 3 modes. So it is always fluctuating. It is always wavering. It is not steady. So how to overcome this unsteadiness or this fluctuation? Boliye Kunal, what is the conclusion?
By performing devotional service, because in the devotional service there is a three-stage realization: Brahma realization, Paramatma realization, and absolute truth, Supreme Personality of Godhead realization is also there.
True. But Krishna is not giving the answer to what you are speaking. What did he answer in the 26th verse? You are saying as if perfection will come by study. What
प्रभु जी
study?
आप
Which kind of study? Where to study? From whom to study?
हरे कृष्णा
Yeah.
ब्रह्म भूयाय कल्पते stage. Krishna is
How to
saying
come?
that
Yeah. How to come to Brahmabhuya Kalpate stage?
without deviation,
Hmm.
engage,
Avyabhichari.
continue,
To give up Vyabhichar.
अभिचारी.
Yeah.
जी प्रभु
What
जी.
we have to do in our practice, we have to give up Vyabhichar. What is Vyabhichar?
Deviation.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Deviations, discontinuations, distractions. So Krishna is not saying not that any type of bhakti one can go beyond the modes. No. Okay.
जी प्रभु जी.
So this is the form to accept. This is the substance to accept and to practice. Then only we can go beyond the modes. And one will perform devotional service. You were asking, you were saying, by performing devotional service, one will surpass. Yes. So when one comes to this platform of Brahma Bhuya Kalpate, then actually devotional service begins. Before that, there is apprenticeship. You know what is apprenticeship?
No प्रभु जी.
नहीं जानते apprentice? CA फर्म में लोग काम करते हैं ना?
Yes, yes.
क्या
प्रभु
बोलते
जी.
हैं? आर्टिकलशिप. देखा? या डॉक्टर्स के साथ भी उनके जूनियर डॉक्टर्स होते हैं. देखा है? तो they are on training. But they are not given the patient to operate. With the surgeon, you will see when there is a senior surgeon, there are many students along with him. And whatever surgery he is performing, he will keep explaining. I have seen that many times in AIMS. A senior consultant or a senior surgeon is there. With him, there are many students. And he keeps explaining everything to them. But they are not allowed to do. Why? Because they are not in that position to what the surgeon is. So they are on the job, but still they are being trained. So when will actual devotional service begin? When one comes to the Brahma Bhuya stage. When one has surpassed the influence of the three modes. Then he performs Bhakti Avyabhicharini. Then there is no question of Vyabhichar. Within the three modes, what we will do? Obviously there will be Vyabhichar. We will keep changing. We will keep deviating. We will keep degrading. Okay. So material nature has a form. Material nature has a form. It is manifest and unmanifest. And how, what form is that material nature having? More clarity you will get in the 15th chapter. And Krishna will speak. Okay, let me continue now because I want to at least cover the first verse and set the platform for bringing our consciousness connected to the 15th chapter. One of the smallest chapter of Bhagavad Gītā, one of the most sweetest chapter. And it is very sweet for all of us, particularly for this batch. This is because of this chapter we began this Bhagavad Gītā session. How many of you were there originally when we started? Dolamani was there, Pradeep was there, Ganesh was there, Manish was there. It was very handful. Yeah, Sarika was also there. At that time, lockdown had begun.
नहीं Prabhuji, September 2019.
I know. And then, lockdown was there at that time. And Puruṣottam month came. So we started with this commitment that at least for 1 month, we will have a regular class. And in 1 month, we covered 20 verses. And then it continued. Then we came back to Mangalacharan introduction and then discontinuing. So the journey has been 2 years now. It is more than 2 years. September 2020, we started on the first day of Puruṣottam Mas. It is 2 years, almost by Krishna's mercy, Radha Parthati's mercy. that the journey is continuing. Some newcomers have come and some have, disappeared also. But some have stayed. That is bhakti avyabhicharini. Some have really practiced avyabhichari bhakti. Some have never missed even one class. So that is very substantial. Okay, so I will share the commentaries. So we learned in the last chapter how the constitutional position of living entity is above the three modes. But association with material nature entangles him in the different modes of material nature. Good. Which verse is this? Those who are sincerely studying for the entire year, they should be knowing. Quickly, Prabhus, Matajis, which verse is this? This is the Mahavakya of this entire final chapters. Quickly. No one? Okay, then I will leave it. I will not cover. And this we came to know in the last verse, in the last chapter, 14th chapter, that by engagement in devotional service, in full Krishna consciousness. 1 minute. That verse you should always remember in the last 6 chapters. What is the Mahavakya? No one remembers which one is the Mahavakya. Why only Dolamani? What about others? They're not hearing. Pradeep. I told you that the single verse will continue in the entire last 6 chapters. The Paribhasha Sutra of the last 6 chapters. Ganesh, you remember?
Sorry, Prabhuji, अभी connect नहीं कर पा.
यही समस्या है. Disconnect. Pranab Prabhu, you remember?
Yes. 13.22, I think.
Yes, 13.22. Purusha prakriti stohi bhongte prakriti jar guna. Karanam guna sangasya sadasad yoni janmasu. Due to the association of the 3 modes, his desire to dominate the material world is there. And because of his being entangled with the 3 modes, he has to repeatedly take birth. So how he can be free? By being in full Krishna consciousness and performing devotional service. This is the conclusion which Krishna gave in the last chapter. So this is the connection between 14th and 15th chapter. Bhakti yogena sevate. Sa gunan samite tan. So what is the greatest impediment? Like yesterday, day before yesterday, Ganesh Prabhu was sharing, the greatest impediment to our performing devotional service is our attachment with the material world. But to attain devotion to him, one needs detachment from this material world. So Krishna begins by explaining the need for detachment with a metaphor that compares the material world to an ashwath or a banyan tree. This chapter states that detachment is the cause of cessation of birth. Cessation means the discontinuation of birth. If there is no birth, that means there is no death. That means one has achieved the stage of immortality. So that the soul is the amsha of the Lord and that Krishna is superior to matter and the jiva. This is Puruṣottamayoga. So what is this material world made of? Gunas. So where the thread begin? Who is that jiva who surpasses samsaya by devotion to you? So Arjuna is asking question in a way, subtly, not expressly. Arjuna is still asking that you are saying that one who performs devotion to you, he surpasses the influence of the three modes. So Arjuna wants to know who is that jiva who surpasses the samsara by devotion to you. You also spoke of the jiva being qualified from Brahma, Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So what is that Brahman? And you said that you are the basis of the Brahman. Brahmano hi pratishtha. So anticipating these questions, the Lord now speaks. First with the use of metaphor. Microphone please check करिए किसी का on हो गया. That the material world made of gunas is compared to the Ashwat tree, and above all the planets in Satyalok lives four-headed Brahma. Okay. Who is one of the root of the tree of this material world? Who is composed of Mahatattva. The first sprout from Prakriti, Urdhva Moolam. This Ashwat tree is best tree because it lets one fulfill one's goal of Artha, Dharma, Kama and Moksha. Okay. So why only Ashwat tree? Not some other tree? Why Krishna is comparing only to Ashwat tree? So one of the Acharya, Srila Vishwanath Thakur, he explains that according to viewpoint of Bhakti, Ashava means that which will not last till tomorrow. A means not and Swaha means tomorrow. So Ashwatha therefore means that which will bound to perish. For the non-devotees, however, it appears to be indestructible. It is avyayam. But those who are practicing avyavichari bhakti, it will not exist. Why? Because they will no longer remain here. They will reach the spiritual world. Okay, so this chapter, although it is a very small chapter, it has 4 sections. So the first 5 verses talk about detachment. Krishna focuses on detachment. And the next 6 verses talk about transmigration. And then how Krishna is the maintainer of this entire creation. And finally is the Vedanta Sutra, that how Krishna is the origin of both the Jiva and this Prakriti. Okay, so let us begin. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, first verse. Urdhva Moolam Madha Shakham Ashwattham Prahuravyayam Chandamsi Yas Parnani Yastam Veda Saveda Ved. So Shri Bhagavan continues to enlighten Arjuna, and through Arjuna he is enlightening all of us. So he is explaining, he says Urdhva Moolam. Moola means the root. And Urdhva means that which is going upwards in the direction of north. And Adha Shakham. Adha means which is coming downwards. And Shakha means the branches. So this is a very extraordinary tree which Krishna is speaking. Do we see the roots of any tree? When you see the tree, do you see the roots? You don't see the roots. But this is such an extraordinary tree that its roots are Urdhva Moolam. The roots are going upwards. Normally we don't see the roots because the roots are below the ground. But here the roots are going upwards, and we see the branches. From the trunk of the tree, the branches come out. And where do the branches go? Upwards. It goes upwards. Yeah. But this tree which Krishna is speaking about, its branches are downwards. Adha Shakam. So what tree is this? Urdhva Moolam Adha Shakam. You don't see this tree. Do we see such a tree? So far I have not seen. Maybe any one of you who has seen such a tree which Krishna is speaking here. So Urdhva Moolam Adha Shakam. So which tree is this? Krishna is revealing is Ashwatham. This is the Ashwath tree. And Prahur means it is said Avyayam. Avyayam means which is inexhaustible. Here it is Prabhupada says eternal. Or that which cannot be terminated. Eternal means Avyayam. Further, Chandamsi Yasya Parnani. Parnani means the leaves. So every tree, it has trunk, it has branches, it has twigs, it has leaves. You people will be knowing much more. Those who are from agricultural IARI background. What all the tree has. So this tree, the leaves are compared to Chandamsi. Chandamsi means the Vedic hymns. Yastam Vedasa Vedavid. The one who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. So very extraordinary tree, Urdhva Moolam. The roots are going upwards. It is visible. And Adha Shakam. And the branches are pointing downwards. And this tree is inestimable. It is so vast, it is so expensive, that from where it begins, where it terminates, there is no beginning and no end. It is so very vast, so inexhaustible. That is why it is, Prabhupada is using the word eternal. And its leaves are compared to the Vedas. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree. Other living entities will come and perish, but this tree will not perish. It is imperishable banyan tree. Has its roots upwards and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. So in this chapter, Krishna describes the process of breaking attachment to this material world, and he is comparing this material world to this tree. This samsara is compared to this ashwath tree. Okay, let us see the purport. Where can you see this tree? If you go to a river bank or any reservoir of water, and if you see a tree besides the reservoir of water, you can see such a tree reflected in the water. You will see that the branches are going downwards and the roots are going upwards. You can experience. After I read it, then I experienced it.
Prabhuji, plate 9 hai. Plate 9.
Okay. Kana can show. This tree is there. One way, if you want, if you are trying to distribute Bhagavad Gītā, you can open this verse and show this picture and tell the people, do you know this tree? Have you seen such a tree? No one has seen it. So this is the tree which is compared to this material world. After the discussion of the importance of Bhakti Yoga, one may question, what about Vedas? It is explained in this chapter that the purpose of Vedic study is to understand Krishna. Therefore, one who is in Krishna consciousness, who is engaged in devotional service, already knows the Vedas. The entanglement of this material world is compared here to the banyan tree. For one who engages in fruitive activities, there is no end to the banyan tree. That is why this banyan tree is avyayam. How? Because he will keep moving from one branch to another branch. But he will not be able to come out of this tree. He wanders from one branch to another, to another, to another. The tree of this material world has no end. And for one who is attached to this tree, there is no possibility of liberation. The Vedic hymns meant for elevating oneself are called the leaves of this tree. This tree's roots grows upward because they begin from where Brahma is located. So from where the material creation begins? From Brahmaji. And the highest loka, or the highest planet is Brahmalok. So where can it reach? Where who is situated in this tree? Who is within this tree? Where can he reach? The highest position is Brahmalok. What happens? We saw in the last chapter, Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. The previous chapters, yeah, Krishna spoke. Even if one can go to the Brahma Loka, he has to return back. Where Brahma is located, the topmost planet of this universe. If one can understand this indestructible tree of illusion, this is a tree of illusion, then one can get out of it. So Krishna will explain. First he is explaining what this material world is. How it entangles, we saw in the last chapter. But how one can get release from it. How one can get liberated. This process of extrication should be understood. In the previous chapter, it has been explained that there are many processes by which to get out of the material entanglement. And up to the 13th chapter, we have now seen the devotional service to the Supreme Lord is the best way. Now, the basic principle of devotional service is detachment. Prabhupada says the basic principle of devotional service is detachment. So, another conclusion, another proof that devotional service has not begun. Because devotional service warrants detachment from samsara. If we have attachment, that is another conclusion that one is not on the pure devotional platform. The basic principle of devotional service is detachment from material activities and attachment to transcendental service of the Lord. The process of breaking attachment to the material world is discussed in the beginning of this chapter. So the first 5 verses talk about detachment. The root of this material existence grows upwards, as we discussed. This means that it begins from the total material substance, from the topmost planet of the universe. From there, the whole universe is expanded with so many branches representing the various planetary systems. The fruits represent the result of the living entities' activities, namely religion, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Now, there is no ready experience in this world of a tree situated with its branches down and its root upward. So there is no question of anyone saying, yes, I have seen it, because it does not exist. So how he can see it? He is fooling himself. But there is such a tree, there is such a thing, but there is such a thing, that tree can be found beside the reservoir of water. We can see that the tree on the bank reflects upon the water with their branches down and roots up. In other words, the tree of this material world is only a reflection of the real tree of the spiritual world. Because what we see on the bank of the water, that is what? That is illusion. Illusion. Such a tree does not exist. But because of the reflection, we see that tree which is having its branches downward and its roots upward. So similarly, this material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. So Prabhupada says, in other words, the tree of this material world is only a reflection of the real tree of the spiritual world. This reflection of the spiritual world is situated on desire. So how we are situated on this tree, or how we are entangled by this tree, is due to our material desires. Just as a tree is situated on water, desire is the cause of things being situated in the reflected material light. One who wants to get out of this material existence must know that this tree thoroughly through analytical study. Then he can cut off his relationship with it. This tree, being the reflection of the real tree, is an exact replica. Exact replica means carbon copy. Actually, it is carbon copy, it is not original. Everything is there in the spiritual world. The impersonalists take Brahman to be the root of this material tree. And from the root, according to Sankhya philosophy, comes Prakriti, Purusha, and then the three gunas. Then the five gross elements, Panch Mahabhut. We have discussed this many times, so I will not cover this again. We all know what is Panch Mahabhut. And then the 10 senses, Dashendriya, mind, etc. In this way, they divide up to the whole material world in 24 elements. Anyone knows which is the 25th element? Very logical. Which is the 25th element? Very good, someone. Yes, boliye. Baki to they are bewildered. Boliye, someone. I could not hear you. Gulamanik, were you able to hear? Come near to the microphone. Yeah.
Prabhuji,
Once again, please.
Pradhan Prabhuji.
Okay. Pradhan. 24th is Pradhan. 25th is?
Mind.
No, mind is already there. Mind is within the 8 elements, 5 Panch Mahabhut and 3 subtle. No, don't speculate. If you know, then you answer. If you don't know, then don't speculate. It is time, Kala. Kala. So Prakriti also works under the influence of Kala. So here it is talked about the 24 elements. If Brahman is the center of all manifestations, then this material world is the manifestation of the center by 180 degrees. And the other 180 degrees constitute the spiritual world. Is it clear or not clear? If it is not clear, then please ask.
How Brahman is the root of this material tree?
How Brahman is the root of this material tree? Okay, very good. What did Krishna explain in the 9th chapter? What is the connection between Prakriti and Krishna or Ishvara? Very famous verse. Maya Dhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sa Charachara. That is one answer. What he explained in the 14th chapter? in the first few verses. Aham Brahma Mahadhyoni. Fourth verse. Got it? We have not studied properly actually. You people don't study at all. Yeah, okay. Sarva yoneshu kaunteya murteya sambhavantiya. Okay. Tasam Brahm Mahat Yoni. So Brahma word is coming, that is the supreme, and Mahat Yoni is the source of birth in this material substance, this material creation. Aham Bija Pradapita. Okay, stop the share. Okay, wait. Okay. So Krishna is saying that it should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature. We have discussed so many times what all is considered to be Brahma. You remember, Dolamani Prabhu? What all is Brahma?
Prabhuji, Jiva also is known as Brahman,
Jeev is
living
Brahman.
entity.
Jeev is Brahman, yes, and
Supreme Lord of Brahman.
Supreme Personality is Param Brahma. That is what Arjuna is declaring. Prakriti is also Brahma. So many times we have discussed. Prakriti is also Brahma. Why? Because it is emanating from Supreme Brahma. And its existence is also eternal. Brahma means which has eternal existence. Okay. This Krishna has already explained in the fourth verse. Okay. Are you clear now?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, but I'm asking about this statement which Srila Prabhupada is giving. If Brahman is the center of all manifestations, then this material world is the manifestation of the center by 180 degrees. And the other 180 degrees constitute the spiritual world. How many of you got it? Boliye. If you have understood, yes. If you have not understood, say no. What does silence denote? Both yes and no.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी.
Hare Krishna.
प्रभु जी 180 डिग्री मतलब अगर सर्कल को कंसीडर करेंगे तो हाफ में जो रिफ्लेक्शन है वो 180 डिग्री कवर कर रहा है और ऊपर का 180 डिग्री जो रियल वर्ल्ड है वो कवर कर रहा है. बाकी प्रभु जी ऐसा सुना है कि जो स्पिरिचुअल वर्ल्ड है वो मतलब 75% है और मटेरियल 25% है, ऐसा भी सुना.
बिल्कुल सही सुना.
इससे समझ नहीं आ रहा प्रभु जी.
क्यों नहीं समझ में आ रहा?
इससे कंफ्यूजन हो रहा है प्रभु जी 180 डिग्री का.
180 degrees Prabhupada जी बता रहे हैं कि this material world is only the reflection, perverted reflection of the spiritual world, which is real. And this material world is unreal. Why? It is temporary and the spiritual world is eternal. There is one more Acharya is explaining about this Ashwatha tree. Ashwa, you know Ashwa? Ashwa, Sanskrit word Ashwa means the horse. Okay, I'll explain in this way. It will become clear to you. So when the horse, at some time, you have ever seen how does a horse sleep? When the horse is there standing for a very long time. Has anyone seen the horse? What it does, it stands on the 3 legs and it gives rest to 1 leg. It folds 1 leg. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives this explanation in one of his commentaries. So it is the same thing what you were saying. So 3/4 is what? The spiritual world, which is always there. And 1/4 is the material world, which keeps manifesting and unmanifesting. Okay. So let's move ahead. Thank you. I think it is clear for everyone now.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. अरे बोलो भाई, हाँ या ना, या मौन व्रत धारण किए सब? देवदत्त समझ में आ गया आपको? साथ नहीं, चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. The material world is the perverted reflection, so the spiritual world must have the same variegatedness. But in reality, the Prakriti is the external energy of the Supreme Lord, and the Purusha is the Supreme Lord himself, and that is explained in Bhagavad Gītā. Since this manifestation is material, it is temporary. A reflection is temporary, for it is sometimes seen and sometimes not seen. Like the resting of the horse. But the origin from whence the reflection is reflected is eternal. So that is why this material creation is also called Brahman. Dolamani Prabhu, are you there? See what Prabhupada is writing. A reflection is temporary, for it is sometimes seen and sometimes not seen. But the origin from whence the reflection is reflected is eternal. The material reflection of the real tree has to be cut off. When it is said that a person who knows the Vedas, it is assumed that he knows how to cut off attachment to this material world. So who is the knower of the Vedas? That means who is liberated. If one knows that process, he actually knows the Vedas. One who is attracted by the ritualistic formulas of the Vedas is attracted by the beautiful green leaves of the tree. He does not exactly know the purpose of the Vedas. The purpose of the Vedas, as disclosed by the personality of Godhead himself, is to cut down this reflected tree and attain the real tree of the spiritual world. Okay, there are some slides I'd like to share. See this tree. Can you see the tree now? Urdhvamulam Adha Shaka.
Yes, Prabhuji.
And how it is reflected? It is reflected on desire. Reflected on desire means that one will, this tree is called, Krishna is saying, this is Ashwatham Prahur Avyayam. It is because of one's material desire that one continues to remain in this material existence. So this tree is Avyayam. And it is Urdhvamulam, you see. And Adha Shakham. Leaves are Chandamsi. Further in the next verses it will come. Okay. These are in next verses. Read Kana.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Just like if you have to keep yourself, the legs are up, the head's down, somebody keeps you like this, how long will you feel comfortable? If somebody takes your legs and catches you, your head is down and then it is not very comfortable. So this whole material world is like that. Urdhva Mulam. The Mulam should have been down, but it is up. Therefore, it is uncomfortable.
This is Urdhva Mulam. This place is, that is why Krishna says this is Dukhalya Mashashvata. And everyone who is here, he is having his legs up and head down. One moment. Okay. Read.
Another explanation is it is perverted reflection. We have got experience of the Urdhva Mulam.
Just
On
be
the
quiet.
bank of
Okay. 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 The last aspect is important. Read. So by this statement, Krishna says that this is not real. That reflection in the water of the tree is not real. Real tree is up. Similarly, real enjoyment, real varieties, everything is in the spiritual world. It is simply reflection. It is not a fact. Therefore, our enjoyment here is called Maya or illusion. Okay, these are for next verses. Is it clear? Can I move ahead? Should I move to the next verse? Understood this metaphor? This?
Prabhuji, I have one doubt.
Okay.
So, Prabhuji, like you showed in the PPT, we're a reflection. So, does that mean like we're existing in the spiritual world and this is a reflection, or does this mean that we're living on a reflection?
See, the tree is in this tree, or the eternal existence is in the spiritual world. But its perverted reflection, as it is seen in the water, in this material world. See, if you go to the bank and you see on the banks of a river or a reservoir of water, what you will see? You will see the reflection of the tree inside the water, isn't it? But is the tree existing inside the water? Yes or no?
No, Prabhuji.
No, it is not. It is outside the water. So eternal life, eternal existence, enjoyment, happiness is not within this material world. But it is seeming. How? Like the reflection which is there. So it is illusion. It is unreal. That is why you will see this word Prabhupada is mentioning, perverted reflection. Okay, I'll give you another example. Simple. I have told this story so many times. You must have also heard. I've heard it from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur citing. So many devotees have told about it. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that in the village, when people go to take bath in the summers, so what they do? They enter into a pond or a reservoir of water, particularly more in Bengal and those parts of India. You will see after every little 500-meter distance, you will find a Pushkarni. Also in Odisha. Few houses, and from in front of their houses, there is one pool of water. And besides the water, you will see some trees also. So in the summer season, there is the ripening of the mango. And the mango which is there on the tree, it reflects in the water. So the villager, when he sees the water, he sees the mango which is inside the water. Isn't it? Because the reflection is there inside the water. So to enjoy that mango, what he does, he dives in the water. And he searches for that mango. And because others are observing him who are outside the water. So when this villager who has jumped into the water, searching for the mango, to taste the mango, after a long search or lot of effort, he comes out. And the other person who was observing him, he asked that, did you find the mango? And what he said, yes. And then the other person was observing, says, how did it taste? And the person who was inside, what will he say? He says, yes, it is very tasty. You must also taste it. Where to find? He will also jump in the same water to find. So similarly, in this world, Maya, the illusionary energy, is fooling everyone. And everyone is so foolish that they are suffering. Still they are saying, yes. If you ask someone, how are you? Fine, thank you. What is fine? What is good? His mind and his heart is into pieces. But still externally he will say, fine, thank you. So what Krishna is revealing here, why detachment will come? Detachment will only come when one comes to know that there is nothing to achieve from here. What does attachment mean? Attachment means that there is some hope. There is some glimmer of hope that yes, I can enjoy here or I can be happy here. So Krishna is giving this knowledge. So this Jnana Yoga. That through knowledge, what will come is detachment. And one who is situated in knowledge and in detachment, he can only perform devotional service and be free from this world. So Krishna has given this Gyan, this knowledge, that this material world is compared to a banyan tree. Then he is giving the details. Urdhva Moolam Madha Shakam. Okay. खाना क्या समझ में आया बताओ?
So Prabhuji, that means that like we're living in illusion and like nothing is true, but we're still trying to enjoy.
What is true here? Can we live here?
Prabhuji, no, actually we're not actually like living here. So we're like just.
We are living within the body.
Yes.
The soul is living within the body.
Yes.
Yeah. The body itself is asat. It takes birth and it dies. Yeah. So that which is sat, how he can be happy in asat? But it is only because of our illusion that we are thinking or we are imagining that I can be happy here. So this material world is compared to that banyan tree, which is avyayam. So those who are non-devotees, those who are not performing devotional service, for them there is no possibility of being extricated. Prabhupada writes this verse, they cannot be extricated. They live here forever. How? From one species to another species, from one planet to another planet. They'll keep rotating on this tree. But for a devotee who is performing devotional service, this tree does not exist. How it does not exist? Because he will be able to cut. He will be able to cut this tree through the axe of detachment. One devotee was very nicely explaining that it will come in the next verses. I will explain. I'll share more. So it is compared to an axe, like the tree is there, and this tree of illusion is there. So how to cut this tree of illusion is through an axe. You have seen an axe? How the tree is cut? Through the axe. And here, what is the axe being compared to is detachment. Is detachment. So axe has two parts. Have you seen? An axe has two parts. One is of the wood and the other is of iron. Isn't it? Dekha hai, nahi dekha hai? All of you. Yeah. So the wood is compared to the human body. Because if you don't have the wood on the axe, you cannot put force, you cannot cut. Can you cut? Just with the iron pointed thing, you cannot cut. It will not work. So the wood is required to hit or to cut the roots. And what is the wedge? Wedge is considered to be the spiritual practice. Our spiritual practice of Shravanam and Kirtanam. So it is the combination of both, the wood and the wedge. So even though we are in this material body, but if we perform, if we engage in devotional service, so what we can do? We can utilize this human body to be free from the illusion. How? By cutting the root of this tree. Okay, so very important. Otherwise, one will continue his existence in this material existence. Okay, we'll discuss it further. Tomorrow is Saturday. Yeah. And Sunday is New Year Day. So hopefully we'll have the class. I don't want to miss. Yeah. Tomorrow we'll have spiritual scientist class. Hopefully at IERI. IERI devotees? Can I come tomorrow? Or you want to have some other engagement? Yes, Shreya? Unmute and speak. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji.
You are in kitchen, huh? Near to kitchen. A lot of sounds are coming. Okay, I'll try tomorrow to come. I don't know, because tomorrow we have a lot of arrangements. The next biggest crowd after Janmashtami is on the New Year Day. We expect around 100,000 people coming. And many guests and dignitaries also want to come. There are many arrangements to be made, but still I will try to have the class intact. In case if I'm not able to come to IERI, then we'll have the spiritual scientist online. I'll let Yagnesh Prabhu know. Okay. So please try to put attention to what Krishna is speaking. Very, very important chapter. This chapter Krishna is speaking that, as Prabhupada says, that with the analytical study or by philosophical speculation, one can receive the message of these chapters. One will have sufficient strength to be detached from this world. Then we saw what is the prerequisite for one who is performing Avyavachari Bhakti, what kind of behavior he exhibits. Udasenavat. He is indifferent. How is indifferent? Because he is completely detached. One who is attached, he cannot be indifferent. So how that detachment will come? Through knowledge. So Krishna is giving this knowledge. Otherwise, one will remain attached. And he will continue to do the same things what he has been doing in so many lifetimes. And there is no possibility of getting released. Okay, I'll stop here. It is just few minutes to 9. Yes, Ganesh bro.
प्रभुजी कल का क्लास का टाइमिंग में कुछ चेंजेस है या लास्ट टाइम तक 7 o'clock?
You see, it is cold for everyone. If I have engagement, that does not mean the weather has changed. The weather remains the same. And we want people to come early and leave early also. So the timing that you give is 7. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So thank you very much. So with the new year is coming, so actually it's a very good resolution or contemplation for all of us. Is the 15th chapter, Puruṣottamayoga, Yoga of the Supreme. And how this Yoga of the Supreme will begin, Krishna is explaining from the first verse, the first 5 verses, is through the eggs of detachment. So we should all pray that Krishna, please sharpen my eggs. My eggs is there, but it is blunt. It is blunt. It does not work. So we want to sharpen our eggs so that we can cut through the illusion. Thank you very much. श्रीमद् भगवद गीता यथारूप की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, उपस्थित सभी भक्त वृंद की जय। यथाय गौर प्रेमानंदी, हरि हरि बोल। Okay, just an information. Today I received a call from Kuber. I don't know who informed him that we are going to Mayapur. And he said that we are 10 people and we want to come. That is enthusiasm. I told him, don't worry. If you want to come, Mahaprabhu will give space. There will be sufficient space for everyone. That is enthusiasm. That is the spirit which is required to be disentangled from this material world. Material world, it will keep us always absorbed and attached. It will not release us. Okay, I'll stop here. Hare Krishna.